When personal life becomes more precious than own children, tragedy is inevitable. The hero of this story was afraid of losing his beloved, so he did a terrible thing to hide the truth from her. The widower Thomas Nash worked as a laborer for the Swansea Corporation. He had 2 daughters in his care, Sarah 17 years old and Martha and 6 years old. When Thomas' wife died, the youngest daughter was only 3 years old. The man was heartbroken, but he did not give up, because he had to raise children alone. Thomas worked a lot, so he couldn't pay enough attention to his daughters. Someone had to take care of them. The man turned to Eliza Goodwin for help. He agreed with her that he would pay every week for the maintenance and accommodation of the children. In those years in Britain, this was the norm. The women took care of the children and acted as babysitters around the clock, while their parents worked. Sarah and Martha lived with Eliza Goodwin for 3 years. Over time, Thomas began to visit the children less and less, began to delay the weekly payment. Eliza didn't like this very much, because for her taking care of the girls was work. Therefore, Thomas delayed payment not only for the food of the children, but also for the work of a woman. Eliza came to his work several times and demanded money, but he only apologized and promised that he would pay next week. At that time, the eldest girl Sarah was already 17 years old. She tried to earn extra money, and gave all the money she earned to Eliza. The girl understood that a woman could simply drive her and her sister out into the street because her father did not pay for their maintenance. As it turned out later, the change in the behavior of the man was due to the fact that he secretly married a second time and moved to live with his new lover. His new wife had no children. She didn't know about Thomas's daughters, as he didn't want to tell her about them. Perhaps the man was afraid that his beloved would not want to take responsibility for the children. Thomas Nash hasn't been to Eliza's house for weeks. There was also no weekly payment. The woman is fed up with Thomas's promises. She knew that on Friday, December 5th, the Swansea Corporation was to pay salaries to employees. Therefore, in the evening of that day, together with 6-year-old Martha, Eliza went to Thomas at his work. She billed him and left the girl with the words,
"This is your daughter, take care of her."
The man tried to persuade the woman to wait until tomorrow, but she didn't listen to him, turned around and went home. Thomas didn't know what to do. He was afraid to take his daughter to the house of his new wife, because then she would find out that all this time he had hidden the presence of children from her. When the work shift ended, Thomas suggested that Marta take a walk near the sea before heading home. The evening was very cold and windy. Big waves were rising. There were several boatmen on the dock. They saw a man with a girl walking towards the pier. And after a while he returned alone. It was Thomas with his daughter. The men called out to Thomas and asked where the girl who was with him. He replied that she had stayed on the pier. The boatman said that it was dangerous. The girl should be taken away. Thomas got nervous and said that there had been an accident. Martha was tired and asked her father to carry her on his back. She climbed onto the railing to grab Thomas's neck from behind. But when he turned his back, the girl could not resist and fell into the sea. After hearing this story, the boatman raised the alarm, called the police and rescuers. Thomas was detained and taken to the police station. At the scene, the search for Martha began. Unfortunately, rescuers were unable to find her that night. The girl's body was found the next day, washed ashore. At 7 p.m., locals who were walking along the shore discovered the body and called the police. During interrogation, Thomas Nash insisted that there was an accident. He was not to blame for the death of his daughter. To which the investigators replied that even if the girl really accidentally fell into the water, then it's Thomas's fault, 'cause he endangered her. He took her to the pier late in the evening in such windy weather. Investigators began to doubt Thomas's innocence after they questioned the only witnesses, the same boatman who had raised the alarm. They said that the man was returning from the pier calmly, not in a hurry. If there was an accident, the father would certainly be in a panic, would call for help and look for a way to get his daughter out of the water. In addition, when the men asked Thomas, "Where's the girl that was seen with him?" he initially replied that she had stayed on the pier. And only after they told him to come back for her, because you can't leave a child alone at night on the pier. Thomas became noticeably nervous and replied that she had fallen into the sea. The investigation also revealed that Nash's new wife didn't know about her husband's children. He never talked about them. The police thought this was suspicious. Thomas Nash appeared in court. The police presented all the evidence against the man, and the judge pronounced a verdict, guilty of premeditated murder of his daughter. The death penalty was imposed as punishment. At the trial, Thomas continued to repeat, "It's not my fault, sir." Nash's lawyer tried to influence the decision of the court, and to replace the death penalty with life imprisonment. To enlist the support of the public, he turned to priests, sent peonies to churches and chapels for decorations. A memorial was made on behalf of Thomas in honor of Martha, but these efforts were in vain. Soon the lawyer received a letter from the Ministry of the Interior, from which it was clear that the sentence would remain unchanged. Thomas resigned himself to his fate. Everyone turned away from him. The wife never visited her husband in prison and was not even at court hearings. The eldest daughter, Sarah, stopped communicating with her father after she found out that he secretly married and, apparently, did not plan to take her and Martha to a new home. March 1, 1886. Monday morning was very cold. The city was covered with snow that had been falling all night. More than 4,000 people gathered at the entrance to the prison. They all waited for the sentence to be carried out. An executioner named Barry entered Thomas Nash's cell after the priest left. The executioner had wide leather straps in his hands, which he fastened to the chest and wrists of the prisoner. Then he took him to the place of execution. Thomas Nash was calm and silent while the straps were put on him. But when the man was brought to the gallows, he admitted that he really threw his daughter into the sea, because he didn't tell his new wife about the children. Because he was afraid that she would leave him. He also added that he considers the sentence fair. Before the noose was tightened around Thomas' neck, he said, "God, have mercy on my soul."